So far, we've been testing our game a lot, and in order to make that easier, we left buildings with instant construction. However, that is not supposed to be the case. According to our design, the buildings should take some time to construct. Otherwise, the enemy could just wait for the enemies to spawn and spam a ton of towers instantly. So let's handle a simple construction timer. And what we're going to handle that is by creating a new type of object that will be placed during construction. And then when construction is done, then the actual prefab we've been using will be spawned instead. So let's make that construction prefab. We create a new empty game object, name this our building construction, put it on 0, 0, 0. Then inside we make a 2D sprite, name this our sprite. And now this one will be set dynamically based on the building type. So we can, for example, select the wood harvester just as default. Okay, there it is. Then let's also add the sorting position order script. And this one, the origin is in there rather than down there. So let's move it down by about 2.5. So minus 2.5 and run once. Okay. Then on the construction parent, let's add a box collider. And now this one isn't meant to be a physical object. So let's make it a trigger. And in the script, we're going to handle the size. So don't worry about that. So let's make that script. Let's go create a new C# script. Name this the building construction and attach the script on there. And now make this into a prefab. So let's put it over here inside the buildings. And once again, rename it to PF building construction. Get rid of the one on the scene. And yep, there it is. Okay, let's work on this script. Now in here, let's handle a very simple timer, just like we did many times previously. So just a private float for the construction timer and another one for the construction timer max. All right, there it is, very simple. Then let's do a private void update. On update, we count down the construction timer by time.time, and if it is under 0, then let's do a debug.log, and let's destroy this game object. Okay, that's a very basic timer. Now let's make a static create function, just like we did for the enemies and the arrows. So let's grab the arrow projectile script, go in here and let's grab the create function and paste it in here. Now let's change this so it will return of this type. So let's rename this to the building construction. Then for the prefab, it will be this one. Alright, so that's pretty much it, and for data we just need to set the construction timer. So let's do a private void set construction timer max, and we receive it. And up here we simply call this and pass in, for now let's pass in a fixed value, so something like 3f. Alright, so just like this, the logic is pretty much working. We have a basic timer and we can call this function in order to spawn it. So now let's go into the building manager, and then down here is where we are instantiating the active building type. So instead of this, let's go into the building construction and call create and pass in the utils class.getMouseWorldPosition. Alright, that's it. Now in the editor, over here we're using the resources, so just make sure that this prefab is inside a resources folder. So make a folder for the resources and drag it on there. Okay, and everything else should be working, so let's test. Okay, so here we are, and let's try placing a stone harvester down here. And yep, there you go, it placed the construction, and after 3 seconds, yep, there you go, down here we have our message and the construction was destroyed. Alright, so we have our basic create and timers working. Awesome. Now let's make it work with a proper building. So over here on the create function, we receive the position, okay. And then let's also receive a building type. So we get the construction and the building type, all right. Then on the building manager, over here, we're going to pass it in. So pass in the active building type. Okay, that's it. And now down here, when the timer is done, we want to instantiate that building prefab. So that means we need to pass in the building type down to this function. So let's rename this to just a basic setup function. So we get the construction timer max, and let's also receive a building type for the building type. Then we store this in here and we set it in here. Okay, and now up here we simply pass it in. And then here we do our timer. All right, everything looks good. And here before we destroy, we call instantiate, pass in the building type.prefab onto this transform position using quaternion.identity for no rotation. All right, so this should be working. Let's see if it does work. So here we are, let's place a stone harvester. Yep, there's the building construction. After 3 seconds, yep, there you go, it spawned an actual stone harvester. Okay, great. Now we need for the timer to be based on the building type. So let's go into the building type scriptable object definition. And in here, let's add a simple timer. So a public float, call it the construction timer max. So this is how long it's going to take to construct. And now here on the construction, this is what we're going to use. So instead of receiving the construction timer max from here, we're actually going to set it based on what's on the building type. All right, so just like that. Now we can also rename this function to make it more clear, since now it's not a multifunctional setup, it's just a set building type. So just call it set building type. And up here, we're just going to pass in the building type. So just like this. Okay, good. Now we just need to set the fields. So back in the editor, just go down into our scriptable objects for all the buildings and pretty much just set it on all of them. Here we have the construction timer max, and let's put them all, let's say at 5 seconds. So they will all take 5 seconds to be constructed. Okay, now the last thing we need is the actual size for the construction area. So in here we set the building type. All right, that's good. Now we also need to set the collider for the actual building construction. So in here, let's get the box collider 2D. And we grab it on the private void awake. So get component type box collider 2D. So you get it, okay, and then down here, essentially, we're going to put it exactly the same as the one on this building type. So we set that one dot offset equals the building type dot prefab dot get component of box collider 2D, and the offset, and same thing for the actual size. All right, so now the size is dynamic and will match whatever it is on the actual building prefab. And with this, all the logic should be working. So here we are, let's place a stone harvester, and after 5 seconds it should complete the building and spawn the actual stone harvester, and yep, there it is. And the collider should also be correct. So for example, if I place a gold harvester here, and now I click on top, nope, area is not clear. And now I can try placing on the side, but not on top. Okay, great. So the logic is all working. And now for the visual, we can do the same thing we did for the health bar and the generator overlay. So we want to make something that showcases the progress of the construction bar. So again, we could do it exactly like we did with these ones, which is for this overlay, we made it out of world text objects and sprite renderers. So that's one approach, but for learning purposes, let's go with a different method. We're going to use a world space canvas. So back in our scene here, let's create a new UI and make it a canvas. And here, let's make it of type world space. And put it on 0, 0 down here. Yep, there you go. So here we have our canvas. And now inside this canvas, we can add any UI elements. So for example, I can add a new UI image. And by default, it's massive. So let's put it 1, 1. And yep, there you go. Now that looks much more like it. So let's also go for an interesting visual. So here for the sprite, let's select this nice circle in here. And then over here on the image type, instead of symbol, we can select it to filled. And then over here, you have a bunch of fill methods. So for example, a really interesting one is radial. And in here, look at that and look at what happens. So you've got a nice rotating scale. Okay, so let's use this combined with a nice mask image. So make another UI image. And again, for the size, set it properly. And then in here, let's use this circle, which is just an outline. So use this one, then make it a mask. So add the mask component and set the other one as a child of this one. So just like that, now it looks quite proper. We just need to go into the mask and disable the show mask graphic. And with this, now we have this really nice effect. Now, just personally, for how the bar fills up, you can leave it in this. But I like to see it start on top and then rotate around. So for that, just put a 180 in there. And yep, there you go. Now it looks exactly like I want it. And let's also tint this into perhaps a nice yellow. Okay, like that. All right, so this is our basic structure. Then let's just rename and give proper names to these game objects. So this one will be the image, this one is the mask, and this one is going to be the construction timer UI. And let's make a script to handle it. So a new C# script called the construction timer UI and attach it to our object. Okay. Now in here, let's do a private void awake in order to grab our references. So we do transform, we find the mask, and then inside the mask we find the image, and then we get the component of type image, which is inside using Unity engine.ui. All right. All right, we have the construction progress image. Then let's add a serialized field to get a reference to the building construction script. So here a serialized field, private building construction for the building construction. And then we just do a private void update, and on update we set the construction progress image. We set the fill amount to whatever is on building construction. And here we just ask it for the timer normalized. So get construction timer normalized. Let's make this function. So very simple, just go into the building construction, and down here a public returns a float, and we just return the construction timer divided by the max. All right, so that's pretty much it. Now here in the editor, just make this into a prefab. So drag it onto the prefabs folder, and again rename it to our PF and get rid of it from the scene. And then let's go into a building. So let's go into the building construction, and in here we just drag the UI, place it correctly, so on 0, 0, all right, and then just drag the reference to the actual building construction. And lastly, we just need to make sure that it shows up on top. So over here, set the sorting layer to top and just override the changes. All right, just like that. So let's see. Okay, so let's go place a stone harvester, and yep, there you go, we have our nice UI element. And as soon as it finishes, yep, there you go, the stone harvester is great. All right, great. Now we just have the issue that it's actually going backwards. I would like to see it filling up. And the other issue that we still didn't apply the proper sprite, so let's fix those. So here, when we set the building type, let's also grab the sprite. So private sprite renderer for the sprite renderer. And grab it here on awake, so transform.find our sprite. And get the component type sprite renderer. Alright, so we have the sprite, and all we need to do is go in here and set the sprite render.sprite to the building type.sprite. Alright, so that solves the sprite, and then here on the construction timer normalized, it's meant to be the opposite of this one. This one is counting down to 0, and we want count up to 1. Okay, so with this it should be working. So here we are, let's try placing a stone harvester, and yep, the sprite is correct, and the construction is also correct. Alright, awesome. Okay, so the construction mechanic is fully working. However, in adding this, we broke another mechanic. So a while ago, we added some rules to how the buildings can be placed. For example, 2 buildings of the same type cannot be built next to each other, but we made that logic based on looking at the building prefab. And the construction prefab is different from that one. So that means that right now we can span buildings as long as we continue placing them whilst they're actually still being built. So let's fix this. Now the solution is very simple. Just go up here into the building manager, and then we have our can spawn building function. Okay, we test the area is not clear. We test for the closed ones. Okay, it's in here. And now we see that we are validating it by looking at the building type holder. And this is how we define that one. So we can actually solve this problem without touching this code at all. We just need to add the type holder component to the construction building prefab. So back in the editor, let's select building construction. And in here, we just add the building type holder. All right, so that's pretty much it. Now all we need to do is set this field. So we can do that through a script. So in the building construction, we'll receive the building type. And then over here, let's get a private for the building type holder. Then we get it in here. And then down here, we simply set it to the building type equals this building type. So this one now holds what building type this will eventually become. And with this, it should be working. All right, so here we are. Let's place a wood harvester and now spam a bunch of them, and nope, can't do it since that one is too close to another one of the same type, even though that one is being built. All right, so all this is working and everything looks pretty good. So we have our construction area. The building is in the stage of construction. It fills that up and then it's finally done. Now, the last thing that we want is to add a nice animated effect on our visual. So for that, I have a really nice, somewhat complex shader that I prepared previously. So let's go into the actual included project files. in here you have the shaders and you have the construction progress shader. Let's drag it down here into our actual project files. So into the shaders, drag it in there. Now let's make a material for it. So up here, make a material for the building construction. And we're going to use that shader. So just go in here into shader graphs and we select the construction progress shader. And everything should be already set up by default. Now with this, let's go into the construction prefab and in here select the sprite and we're going to apply our construction shader. Okay, so this is set up. Now let's see what this actually looks like. So for that, let's go back out here into our scene view. And in here, let's drag a building construction just to be able to see. And then on the building construction over here, we can see all the properties for the shader. And one of them is the progress. And this is what we're going to change through a script. So at 0, everything is fully hidden. And at 1, everything is 100% built. And in between, it makes this really nice, really awesome effect. So constantly growing as if it's constructing the actual building. So what we want to do through code is set this field based on the construction normalized value. So let's handle that. Here in the building construction script, let's grab our material. So private material for the construction material. And so to get this, we go into our sprite render and we grab that material. So now we have the material reference. And then on update, after we modify the construction timer, let's go into the construction material and we're going to call this property setFloat. So this is how you modify properties within a shader. In this case, we're going to modify a float value. Then we pass in the property name, which is the reference name, which in this case is progress. Don't worry, we're going to look at the inner workings of the shader in a bit. So we pass this in and then we get the normalized construction timer. All right, so we're modifying the property value. And with this, the shader should be animated. So let's see. Back in the editor, let's just remove the one on the scene and hit play. Okay, here we are. Let's try placing a wood harvester right here. And yep, there you go. There we see our actual building shader in action. So it constantly goes up as if it's printing the building. So place one here and another one up here. And there you go. We have this really nice, really awesome shader effect. All right, so that looks great. And we also saw how to actually interact with shader properties from a script. So look, that looks really nice. So now let's see how that shader is actually built. So let's go into our shader and double click. And the shader graph window pops up. Let's maximize this. Now this does seem quite a bit more complex than the previous shaders we looked at, but it's actually quite simple. So first of all, you see the properties up here on the corner. So you can see all of the properties that we added. So we have the main texture, then we've got the progress texture, then we've got the progress, which as you can see has the reference underscore progress. So this is the exact name that we're using in here when we set the float. We set this property to this value. So we're modifying this one. Then we've got a color for the outline, then a bunch of segments, outline thickness. Those are just some more parameters. So let's see how the shader works. Now, first of all, in order to understand, you can actually just ignore this part down here. This one is pretty much just a duplicate of this one. So we can just look at this part up here, just focus on this. And now the first thing that you see is that we're using this texture. Now this is a texture that I made. It's just a very simple gradient. Essentially, we're just using the red channel. That's why it's going from black to red. So essentially on this side we have 0 and in here we have a 1. That's all it is, just a basic gradient. And then down here we have the exact same thing, except we are flipping the texture on the horizontal axis. So this one up here goes from 0 to 1 and this one from 1 to 0. And then down here we have the same thing but just rotated. So it starts on the bottom and goes up. So you see what happens over here on these ones. So these are all step nodes that you can see. And now what a step node does is it constantly shows a certain part. So right here the progress is at, let's say, 0.1. So what the step node is showing is all the values under 0.1 within this texture. So in here you see just a little bit over there on the left side, and here you see just a bit on the right side. And as the value increases, you can see that it takes up more and more. Now over here we also have some math with the number of segments. So that is what cuts down the actual sprite between 10 segments. So we can cut this down just to 1 in order to see essentially just one effect. So now at 0.1, now this showed just 10%, and at 0.5 it's at 50%. And you can see that as the progress increases, this one starts growing from the left side and this one starts growing from the right side. So that's what these two do. They essentially grow according to the progress, and they are divided by the segments. So if I put 2 segments, Then this one up until 0.5 is going to full. And then at 0.5 it resets back and goes that. And then down here, on this part in here, we're doing pretty much the exact same thing, except we're going from bottom to the top. So as I increase over here on the progress, you'll see this one constantly going up by each segment amount. So at 0.4, this one is at 0 and this one is at half. And as soon as this one passes 5, so let's say 0.6, now this one is completely full since we only have 2 segments, and at 0.6 we are on the second segment, and this one is 1 behind, so this one's at half of it. So what we're doing here is just having a step and then a step behind it. So if I set this back to 10 segments, you can actually see the difference. So this one is 60% filled and this one is only 50% filled. Then we subtract it in order to get just the sliver that we are working on, and that's what we use to multiply with one of these. So over here we just do a simple branch comparison. So if the segment is odd, then it picks the one that goes from the left. If it's even, then it picks the one from the right. So that's what we're doing here in order to use a branch node to select one or the other. Then we multiply it by this little sliver and we add on top what's remaining on the bottom. So if I put this at 0.65, you can see, yep, you can see that this one is going from the left, this one going from the right. Then depending on odds or evens, we select one of those and we add it on top of the one that's one behind. So that's pretty much what we're doing in here. We're constantly, as we increase the progress, that one increases by as many as the number of segments. This one does the same thing but increases from bottom to the top. Then we put it all together and simply apply it to the actual mesh. And that's the end result. So this one is essentially a mask that gets applied on the colors. And lastly, down here we have the exact same thing that we have up here, except we are increasing the progress by a tiny bit. So in doing so, that's how we get this tiny part that is all the way in front of this one. And then we get this tiny part and we tint it with the actual outline color so we get a nice glow on where it's actually printing. So as this one increases from 65, let's put it at 68. And if there you go, you saw that one go to the right. Alright, so that's pretty much it. It looks complex, but as you can see, it's really quite simple. It's all based on a bunch of simple operations all merged together to make a really nice, interesting final effect. Now feel free to open this effect in your own project files and play around with it to see exactly what each thing does. So here it is in game, place the wood harvester, and there you go, it's constantly printing and looks really nice. So place the stone harvester, and yep, it's a really nice, really good looking effect. So place the things, and yep, it really does look like it's being constructed. Okay, so here we have our fully working construction system. So we have the construction stage, we can place buildings, they take a while to construct, and afterwards then they finally become active and they work as normal. So here we have a really nice construction system. Awesome.